You're listening to Identity After the Uniform, Episode 8. You didn't lose discipline, you lost identity, where we rebuild identity, stability, and direction when the structure is gone, when the routine stops, when the role disappears, when no one tells you who you are anymore. This is where you rebuild from the ground up. This episode is for the person who keeps asking themselves, what happened to me? Because you know you're capable. You've operated under pressure, handled responsibility, worked long hours, pushed through exhaustion, kept going when other people would stop. So why does normal life suddenly feel harder? Why does consistency disappear? Why do simple things suddenly feel heavy? And why does it feel like you've lost something, even when your life on paper looks fine? Because what you lost wasn't discipline, it was identity. That's the part nobody explains properly after transition. People talk about jobs, CVs, qualifications, housing, resettlement, but very few people talk about what happens internally when the structure disappears. Because when you're inside the military, your identity is reinforced constantly. You know your role, you know your purpose, you know where you fit. There's routine, expectation, standards, direction, and over time, that structure becomes part of you, not just what you do, who you are. Then one day it changes. At first, you think you're fine. It's just adjustment, just a new chapter, just need to settle in. But slowly, something starts feeling off. You stop feeling sharp. The consistency that used to feel automatic suddenly takes effort. You procrastinate more, avoid things more, question yourself more, and eventually you start blaming yourself. Maybe I'm lazy now, maybe I've lost my edge, but that's not the truth. The truth is, you lost the environment that reinforced your identity every single day, and without realizing it, you started drifting. Because identity drives behavior, not motivation, identity. When someone knows who they are, their behavior becomes more consistent. But when identity becomes unstable, behavior usually follows. That's why you can still be highly capable and still feel inconsistent. Same person, different environment, different output. And this doesn't just happen in the military. It happens after divorce, after burnout, after grief, after illness, after career loss. Any major life shift that removes structure can destabilize identity, but military transition hits differently because the structure was so strong to begin with. You weren't just doing a job, you lived it, the language, the humor, the standards, the belonging. Then suddenly, silence, no tribe, no framework, no clear direction, and people around you expect you to just get on with it. That's why so many people feel disconnected after leaving, not because they're weak, because identity disruption changes behavior. And when people don't understand what's happening internally, they usually attack themselves instead. They think the answer is more motivation, more discipline, more pressure. But pressure without identity usually creates burnout because you can't hate yourself into stability. You rebuild it slowly, repeatedly, deliberately. You rebuild identity through evidence, small wins, promises kept to yourself, tiny moments where your brain starts recognizing, I'm becoming stable again. That's why rebuilding starts with simple things: sleep, routine, movement, structure, daily anchors, because evidence rebuilds self-trust. The real damage transition creates for a lot of people isn't confidence loss, it's self-trust erosion. You stop trusting yourself to stay consistent, you stop trusting your own direction, and eventually you begin doubting who you even are anymore. But here's the truth, you are not starting from scratch, you are rebuilding from experience. The discipline is still there, the resilience is still there, the standards are still there. They've just been buried underneath instability, pressure, and identity disruption. And once you understand that, everything starts making more sense. If this episode hit home, subscribe to the channel and follow future episodes of Identity After the Uniform. If you're leaving the armed forces or recently left, subscribe to my channel for future episodes. And if you're trying to rebuild properly, download the free 5-day reset. And remember this, you didn't lose your value. You lost the structure that reminded you who you were. Now it's time to rebuild it consciously.